Hello and welcome to the League One Lowdown preview show. I'm Callum, and in Sam's absence, I think he's off in Germany enjoying a little bit of sunshine over there. We've got a review show takeover in Seb. Seb, how are you, pal?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, happy to have joined the dark side for one time only, but happy to cover Sam. Yeah, keeping the S in spirit though on the preview show.
You might not be very happy about it when we turn our attention to Barnsley very soon. I'm sure that will.
Yeah, that is true. But luckily we can get it out of the way early.
Yeah, that's coming up. We'll also look ahead to all of the other games. A shortened game week due to international breaks. We won't be ranting about that in Sam's absence. Think of that as like our tribute to our fallen soldier, because that's Sam's area of expertise. We'll be touching on the sacking of Rob Elliott at Crawley Town as well, whether we think that was just, or is it just a bit too little too late, and of course going through all 6 games this weekend. But that's where we'll start with the sacking of Rob Elliott. Seb, what did you make of it?
Well, I'll be honest, Callum. The timing for me was probably one of the things that stood out in terms of we haven't actually got that many games left of the season. The Crawley themselves don't have a lot to play for. And they've got rid of the manager. It doesn't add up right. They've lost 4 of the last 5 games. I think you sort of alluded to this at the start. I think it is too little too late. I'm not really sure. I think there's much bigger issues at the club than Rob Elliott. He's not been there that long. And yeah, he's somehow sort of been the scapegoat and been relieved of his duties on a Wednesday, which I think is really weird. If you're going to do it, I guess, sacking a manager, there's never a right time to do it as such, but surely, I don't know, on a Wednesday, I was a bit baffled by that. Similar to sort of Darren Clark going the previous Wednesday, I just think it's a little bit odd, sort of, players preparing for the next game. But anyway, I don't think too much impact will be made since now he's left, and I'm not really sure what was going through the owners' minds really when he got rid of Rob Elliott as of Wednesday. Like I said, well, what do you reckon to it?
It felt really weird, like you say, that the Wednesday thing's the one that stands. If you'd had a game midweek and they'd have been absolutely pummeled or whatnot, then it makes sense. But they lost 5-1 to Huddersfield. That was last Saturday. Before that, a narrow, and there is no harm in this, a 1-0 defeat to Charlton, who really are the form side in the division at the moment. A draw with Reading, which again isn't hard. Okay, when they played Lincoln at the start of March, it wasn't too impressive, and then losing to relegation rivals. Cambridge is obviously not ideal either. But I to me, it does feel weird. It's like, well, what do you expect to happen with? I came up with the idea for Huddersfield and Barnsley that at the end, like the owners and the chairman couldn't see anything improving. They couldn't see anything changing. So they just wanted to roll the dice. And, for Huddersfield, I suppose last week it worked. But again, Crawley Town 5-1, you do that with a pinch of salt. It's a roll of the dice and you see what happens, because they were heading towards not getting playoffs. So the worst thing that can happen is they hire a different manager and get playoffs. And that's what I suppose they were hoping. With Crawley, though, it's a complete different situation. They're 12 points away from safety. And that gaggle of team on 42 points of Peterborough, Northampton, and Bristol Rovers. But they've got the worst goal difference in the division. They're not scoring goals. They're conceding a lot. They've conceded 71 goals this season. To me, Rob Elliott felt like we talk about owners and having that sort of forward-thinking approach, which I'm delighted to say Lincoln City do a lot. There's none of this short-termism at our football club. For me, Rob Elliott, I've seen what he's done in the National League. He would have been a great kind of building point in League Two. He would have been great to just build forward off. So it feels weird that they've gone with a short-termism of there is still obviously a chance mathematically that they get out of it, but you're talking very slim pickings here. So I don't know what they've kind of boosted their chances by at all by getting rid of him, and I don't know who they'd get in with 9 games to go.
9 games to go, 12 points safety. nigh on impossible. Me and Jamie covered this in the sort of review show at the weekend. We have, well, we've ruled out Shrewsbury, Cambridge, and Crawley, and only given Burton a chance of survival out of the clubs currently in the bottom four. And I think that's a fair reflection. I'm not really sure what sort of the thinking is around Crawley as to whether they can survive, because all season they've been really poor. You mentioned the goal difference. You mentioned the amount of defeats they've had, 21 defeats from 37. That's almost like 2/3 of the entire season. How can, with that level of form, how can you survive and not get relegated? It's baffling, really. But clearly, like you said, the owners think that there's perhaps there's something happening, like something, a glimmer of hope somewhere, maybe. But you're right in terms of Rob Elliott. Has managed in sort of the lower division, so he would have been a really good person to help lead the next season for a promotion push, and it just hasn't worked out at all. I would just, before we sort of move on to cover the games coming up, the thing that also got me was how short the statement was.
Yeah.
Literally, all it says: Crawley Town Football Club has today parted company with manager Rob Elliott. Nothing else really. And then about Louis Story taking over as interim head coach, and then a very pathetic thank you at the end. Like, the club would like to thank for all his efforts, wish him all the best for the future. There's not a lot there. And so, like, it just adds to the fold a little bit in terms of, was something not right there when Elliott being manager? I know results didn't go the right way that they would have liked to, but they were always going to be punching above their weight, Crawley, massively. They came up last year, did really well. Probably surprised a few coming up in the first place, but then
100%.
actually, like this season, I don't think they've underachieved. I don't think they've overachieved. I think they've just been fighting in a very strong division this year, and they've been found out, as quite a couple of the teams that have. So I'm not really sure what they expected, but I think the timing is baffling. I think the actual sacking is baffling, and I think it's slightly unfair on Rob Elliott, really.
I mean, the only thing is I can think of is when they brought Rob Elliott in, they had a bit of a bounce, didn't they? But
yeah.
I mean, that's a new manager bounce anyway, and that's not a guaranteed thing these days.
Of course.
It used to always feel like that was a guaranteed thing, but it's definitely not anymore. An unfair sacking. I suppose we'll wait and see who they bring in. I don't know. I don't think even Pep Guardiola could keep Crawley Town up at this point. I don't, the best of respects to Pep Guardiola. I can't see him managing a game against Crawley Town ever. But there you go. Let's move on. There was one game in midweek, so it's probably fair that we pay our respects to that one. It was an entertaining game as well, wasn't it? In Wycombe versus Rotherham. What a game as well. 3-2 it finished. 2 goals in 2 minutes for Wycombe to seemingly win the game, although there were nerves when Clark Harris got a goal from the spot with the moments to go. It seemed a very entertaining game. And for the majority of it, it felt like Rotherham were probably just going to scrape out a very Rotherham-like result, but Wycombe still proving they've got a bit of fight in them.
Yeah, so the first goal wasn't until 66 minutes on the clock, and then we had 5 of them right up until the end, and it probably should have been 6. There was a goal disallowed for handball. The referee actually on the pitch didn't give it, but the fourth official on the sideline about 60 yards gave handball. So Rotherham managed to, Rotherham's goal was chalked off for handball. Steve Evans saying, sort of not necessarily denying the handball in the post-match, but he was sort of baffled as to what I just said in terms of why did the fourth official give it when the referee was closer. But anyway, as I said, not disputing the handball. But yeah, for Wycombe, really good result. As you said, late show for them. Survived a late scare, but the result actually does see them leapfrog Wrexham back into the automatic spot. So I think that'll be a really interesting race between Wycombe and Wrexham, sort of overlapping each other right up until the end of the season. So that'll certainly want to keep an eye on. But yeah, good goals, 3 separate goal scorers for Wycombe. Coney, again, continuing its fine run of form. A goal and an assist in the game for Wycombe. That's now 21 goals this season for the club, 18 of them in the league as well. So continuing his good run of form. Yeah, and a good entertaining game to say that was the only League one action midweek. So yeah, certainly Steve Evans won't be happy, but Rotherham season's over. We mentioned this in our podcast before. I'm sure you've covered this, but it's all about sort of, I guess, give the fans something to cheer about upon the end of the season. And I guess they did that, and almost managed to grab a point, but for a disallowed goal. But yeah, entertaining game, and what League One's all about. I think people were looking a bit, were a bit. I guess annoyed is probably the word. 0-0, we against two quality sides, and then it all came to life in the last few 20 minutes or so. So yeah, entertaining game and good one for the neutral, as I say.
As I was looking at the match momentum, it looks like that Louis Sibley goal in the 66th minute really. I mean, obviously it put Rotherham ahead, but it's cost them the result because after that, the match momentum's completely with Wycombe. It felt like they were just peppering them. So, I mean, on the face of it, not a fair result. Rotherham winning the expected goals, more shots on target. Wycombe creating more big chances. But an interesting game and probably a final 30 minutes that had the journalists tearing their hair out because they'll have had so many different match reports written only for them to be ripped up and scuppered in the bin. For now, we'll just go through our predictions and then we'll get on to what is a shortened match week. So just to go through with the predictions, Seb, you'll be making predictions on Sam's behalf. So it's up to you as to whether you take the mick or not.
Well, I'm feeling the pressure a little bit here, Callum. I can't lie. I know he's got standards. I would say high standards, but given the how the results have been in his favour, not necessarily high standards, but certainly standards that Sam has set. With your mini prediction league. So delighted to be in the hot seat. And no, I'm going to take it serious. I'm a competitive man, so I'm going to give Sam the best opportunity going forward.
Well, Sam had been mounting a bit of a comeback, but that's come to an abrupt halt this week. I know that this looks very suspect, given Sam's not here this week, and I've been in charge of going through all the different scores and totting it up. So going into this match week, I was 203 points to Sam's 195. You get 3 points for a win for the correct score, 1 point for the correct outcome, and zilch if you don't get it right, obviously. At the end, it looks like Sam will have to buy a Lincoln City shirt, which will fill me with pleasure. But we've decided he'll go for the charity one, the charity shirt that the Imps release. So we're doing a bit of good for the community. But going into this week, between us, we got 8 outcomes or scores correct. I got the correct score for Shrewsbury against Burton, Rotherham against Exeter, and Northampton against Birmingham. Sam getting the correct score for Reading against Stevenage. I got the correct outcomes for Cambridge against Peterborough, Charlton against Wigan, Huddersfield against Crawley, and Lincoln versus Bristol Rovers. Sam getting them for Shrewsbury against Burton, Cambridge against Peterborough, Charlton against Wigan, Huddersfield against Crawley, and Lincoln versus Bristol Rovers. I think we pretty much got exactly the same. We predicted most of the same outcomes there. But what it does mean with my what I'm going to say is an incredible Birmingham prediction. I don't think many people predicted Northampton 1, Birmingham 1.
No.
So I'll take that one. I think that was kind of my crazy result of the week. I tend to have one throw-out result, and I sometimes get it. But that means that I've opened up a bit more of a gap. It was 8 points. It's now 13 points. Sam's on 203. I'm on 216 with just 9 game weeks to go. It's looking quite good. It's looking quite good.
Looking favourable for you, Callum, at the minute, isn't it?
All I'm saying is vibes are better than stats. That is what we go off. Sometimes I'll have my idea. I'll listen to Sam go through all the stats, and I'll go, no, I'm going to ignore those, and I'll just go purely based off vibes. So there you go. So I've opened up a bit of a gap in the predictions league. Let's move on then to looking ahead to this weekend's fixtures. First up, Barnsley versus Cambridge United. Seb, you're a Barnsley fan. You'll know more about them than I do. What do you make of Barnsley then at the moment? It's not going great.
No. That's putting it nicely, Callum. Yeah, not at all going great. Yeah, 3 defeats on the bounce now. Now under the interim charge of Conor Howrahan, and his first game didn't get off to a good start, losing the last minute 2-1 defeat to Wake Mansfield at the weekend. So he want to put it right at home. Obviously, with the Oakwood crowd behind him, so much history as a player at Barnsley, and sort of he's got a chance to now lead the club towards the end of the season. 3 defeats on the bounce, as I mentioned. Playing Cambridge, who've got 4 defeats on the bounce, albeit their position is slightly more different. They're second to bottom of the table, just 29 points from 37 played. So I think Barnsley should see this one sort of as a, I say easy 3 points. That's probably a bit harsh on Cambridge, but certainly a chance to get things back on the right tracks. Having gone at 3 wins on the row before a run of now 3 defeats, they need another win to Barnsley. And I think Cambridge, if there's a team that you would like to face when you're on opponent of form, it's got to be Cambridge for sure. Yes, things that have looked pretty positive since the duo of Matt Bonner and Neil Harris have come in, but not really improved massively. And I think that was more sort of preparing for next season. So, yeah, I don't think they'll be too much of a threat to Barnsley. And if history is anything to go off, then Barnsley won this fixture 2-0 at Ockwell the last time they played each other at Ockwell.
I was watching that was it that infamous post-match interview with Neil Harris, I think it was. I think it was him. That BBC Sport Cambridge posted on Twitter. I believe it must be on Facebook as well. He's livid with them.
Yeah,
and I get that it's high stakes, but you've come into an impossible situation, and I don't get why this. I don't know what he expected. I mean, he's almost resigned to relegation for Cambridge. I don't.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Yeah.
It's one of them that you don't. We don't want to stop talking about Cambridge United because theoretically they could still pull off the great escape, but for them, Shrewsbury and Crawley, it does look like you're talking rescuing more than a point a game.
Yeah,
like working back a point a game more now, and it's almost 2 points a game now. Like is I think 2 points a game no, it's not quite 2 points a game, but it's getting there. It's going to be very tough for them. The thing about Barnsley that makes me, I don't want to say wince, but they're not very. I was looking at some of their attacking stats on FotMob the other day and looking at them right now in front of me. They're not top for anything except 2 stats that really stand out. They average 4.8 shots on target a match, which only Stockport County have more shots on target per match than Barnsley. But the stat that really surprised me, accurate long balls per match is 32.1. Now, I get that's better than inaccurate long balls per match.
Yeah, it's more the sheer number, isn't it? That's not taking me by surprise a little bit as well.
It's like, is that the style of football that they've gone for? But I get that long ball has an approach, but you associate long ball football with teams that are trying to punch above their rates. You punch above their weight. You look at Wrexham this year. Okay, they've got a great squad, but they're third for long balls. Looking at that, Birmingham are down in 7th, but you look at the likes of Burton Albion, Rotherham, they're sort of in the mix for that. Barnsley, for me, feel like a team that should be, like you say, they want to be taking the game to opponents, not playing long balls.
Yeah, I hadn't quite. I guess when you're in the game and watching the game, you don't quite realise it happens as much as it does. I guess really that's sort of a certain eye opener. Yeah, Barnsley have got the quality players, the likes of Keeler, the likes of Humphreys to play it on the floor. But you're right. Sort of the amount of times they go along quite a bit, which is surprising, really. We don't necessarily have the most physical of players up top to win that ball, to win that header, to bring the ball down. So a lot of time, even though we are playing these successful long balls, a lot of time nothing really comes of it in sort of my eyes from watching Barnsley on a regular basis. So yeah, I like and the shots on target thing as well. Yes, we're having the shots, but the final ball sometimes just isn't there. I think that's been something that clearly hasn't been worked on, or something's gone wrong in terms of coaching delivery and stuff like that. So yeah, certainly a lot of things to point to. I guess not necessarily major as such, but certainly improvements for next season. I think I know in the club statement when Harry was appointed that the club said there's still ambition for the playoffs, so they're still capable of really play. I don't
9 points off, aren't you? With 9 games to go, and we talk about it at the bottom. You can. It's more realistic towards the bottom of the table to claw back a point a game, but it's not. The other thing is when you win the ball, it's not very high up. Possession won in the final third is 16th in the table for that one. 3.2 times a game versus Orient's 4.6. So you talk about that lack of a physical presence up front to take down the ball. They're not winning the ball high up as well. So there you go. On to the predictions then for this one. I've gone. We've not mentioned it now, but it's hard to look past your terrible home form. So I've gone 1-1 in this one.
Oh, Callum, no, Callum. I'm going to back the Reds. I'm going to go 2-0 at home.
A repeat of last time.
Yes, 2-0. I'm going to go for.
Let's move on then to what I will definitely call Crawley's final nail in the coffin, and a huge match for Bristol Rovers. Bristol Rovers then in terrible form. Bristol Rovers are in that form where they're very yo-yo, aren't they? And they have been all season. They're kind of like they're up and down, aren't they? But their away form is terrible, but their home form is great. They're very inconsistent, obviously, off the back of that defeat against Lincoln, where they offered very little, from what I saw. But I think the manager talked about it's not that the players don't want to; it's that they physically can't. From what I heard in the post match, apparently they were very tired. They've had a week off, and so chance to replenish those batteries. And if you want an away game, Crawley feels like a good place to try and get a bit of away form going towards the end of the season.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned sort of Bristol Rovers doing all right. They actually had a draw and 2 victories before, as you say, getting absolutely smashed by Lincoln last weekend. So that has sort of obviously put a dampener on things. But yeah, you mentioned it has decided to play away from home. It's certainly Crawley, and they are on a really bad run of form themselves. They conceded 5 at Huddersfield themselves at the weekend. So it's sort of certainly Bristol Rovers were favourites into this one, but not that much. It's 22nd in Crawley versus 20th in Bristol Rovers. So Bristol Rovers fighting for the points just to keep them away from the relegation fight. Crawley fighting for the win to give them any sort of hope. If we can say there is hope for them, I guess, but I don't think there is. But they will believe there is, and so you can't look past anything, particularly given Crawley's poor form at home. You can't really look past anything other than a Bristol Rovers victory. I think in here, they've got a couple of good results on the spin. We're disappointed with the result at the weekend, but they'll see this as a chance to just go at Crawley and drag themselves a little bit away from the drop zone.
I'm looking at the form for the last 8 matches at home. Crawley Town are 21st in that. Looking at the last 8 away games, Bristol Rovers are 24th. So 2 teams that really don't like playing in their current situation. Crawley Town don't like playing at home. Bristol Rovers don't like playing away. I do struggle to see past the Bristol Rovers.
Yeah.
It's weird though, because their form is so bad away from home. As when you start, I can't see past the Bristol Rovers win. But then you look at that form table away from home and you're just like, I can't see it. I'm going to go 2-2. I think it'll be one of those kind of crazy games where neither side knows how to defend. Bristol Rovers defensively looked poor defensively, so I'll go 2-2.
That Spider-Man meme, it's given that, that they both point at each other, sort of,
Yeah, they don't want to play each other at this point.
Exactly that. Exactly that. So but I think despite their poor away form, I think Bristol Rovers will just have the quality and will want to win more than their chances of pulling away from this relegation fight is more realistic than Crawley pulling themselves out of their current relegation position. I'll go 2-1 Bristol Rovers. I think they'll just have too much quality and don't get me wrong. I think there won't be too many chances in this one, but I think Bristol Rovers will just have that edge.
On to Lincoln City then. The team that I follow most, they are facing Exeter City at home again for the Imps after last week's drubbing of Bristol Rovers. It felt like Lincoln City back to their best, and Lincoln feel like they're going through this patch where they've persevered with this 5 at the back for so long this season, and Michael Scabala's finally realised, I think, that he doesn't have the powerhouse in midfield to make it work, the creativity on the wings to make it work, or the pace in the wing backs to make it work, or an attacking defender that can step into that middle, step forward from centre back into the midfield. He doesn't have those types of players in his disposal. And he's finally decided, well, hang on, if I just put an extra person in midfield, take it from take one striker, put him on the wing, and take a defender and put it in midfield, and play a 4-2-3-1, just like everyone used to in FIFA 15 or whatever it was. Bog standard 4-2-3-1. It feels like it's finally worked. This way of playing with a central attacking midfielder, because so many people now play 5 at the back in League One. If you put a central attacking midfielder and a striker playing just behind that 3 and a central attacking midfielder playing just in front of those 3, the defenders don't know which one to pick out. Because they're too busy squabbling over that, you've got Makama on the right wing who's scoring a hat-trick.
Yeah, and credit to Makama, I guess, for getting the hat-trick,
He's been incredible recently.
Exactly, yeah. Being able to thrive, and we've seen that with his goal returns and his goal contributions as well. And yeah, Lincoln will be positive not only with the result itself, but the clean sheet as well. Having had a few sticky results in there, losing to Burton 1-0 and then losing to Barnsley 4-3. It's very unlikely that you score 3 goals and don't win a game. So that will sort of annoy them. But to I guess to emphatically beat Bristol Rovers in the way that they did with the change of formation, I think will please everyone all round, really.
Yeah. We'll talk about Exeter City a bit more, because I could talk about Lincoln for ages. Feels when Lincoln are bad, we don't talk about them, and now they're doing all right, we're just going to move on to Exeter. I don't want to make this the Lincoln City show. Exeter City, 5 unbeaten now, 2 wins in that period, 3 draws. They were in free fall towards the bottom 4. They've kind of rescued that. It feels like they do every year. Sam's very keen to often point out how they're great at the start of the season, horrible in the middle of it, and then great towards the end. I don't know. It depends on what time of the season you face Exeter City as to whether you actually want to play them. They're now 8 clear of the drop. I'd argue that out of the 4 teams between them and the relegation zone, a couple of them are worse than Exeter City, and probably at more risk of going into the drop zone if the worst happens. But again, it's a long trip to Lincoln. So in terms of this game, I'm going to back Lincoln. I think 3-1. I don't know what it is about the Imps. I just feel like they've turned a corner. They've figured out how they like to play. For me, I can kind of predict the scores now when I see a Michael Scabala side. If I can see that it's 5 at the back, or if I can see that it's 4 at the back, or depends who's playing for me completely. Team selection is the most frustrating thing at the minute as an Imps fan. But I'll go 3-1. I'll go 3-1.
Okay. 3-1 to Lincoln. Yeah, I don't know. You mentioned sort of Exeter travelling. It's a long way to Lincoln, and they actually travelled to Rotherham last week as well. So they're sort of consecutive weekends with consecutive long journeys. Surely that will have some sort of impact on the players at some point. They managed to get the draw away at Rotherham, which I think all things is a good result. They actually came from behind to leave South Yorkshire with a point. But before that, they actually won at home consecutive matches 2-0 against Mansfield and then Shrewsbury before that. But yeah, Exeter, I don't know. I think, yes, it's 5 unbeaten, but there's a bigger picture to that in that there's only 2 wins in that. And before that, the form was inconsistent. And, like you mentioned, they had sort of just been slowly dropping down the table. So, they've had a bit of a good patch. But I really, if, like you said, if Lincoln set up the way that they set up against Bristol Rovers last week, then you can't look past them, really. In terms of it worked probably the best it could have worked on Saturday, and all the players have got the momentum. All the players have got fires in their bellies, and they want to go again and grab another victory, and sort of, I guess, consecutive victories at home for Lincoln has been struggling to come by this season. So, I'm going to agree with you and go Lincoln win. the exact score, I'm going to go for a 3-1 home win to Lincoln.
So
I can see
copying and pasting. There you go. Yeah.
Jovan McCara, I think. Yeah, that's the same score. Jovan McCara, I think, will grab a couple again.
Be nice to see Pordy again score, because it looks like he'll be off before. Well, he'll be leaving on a free contract at the end of the season. So anything to see him score a towering header again in front of the Stacey West before he goes. Oh, that'll be iconic. Moving on to 3 more games. This one, I don't think there's a huge amount to talk about. Northampton Town against Blackpool. Blackpool, we discussed a lot that they could be the team that makes a late dash for it.
It's not happening.
They're 10 points behind. It's not happening. Northampton Town 19th. 4 unbeaten now. Obviously, only one of those a win. But it looks like they're, I don't want to say gracefully going towards safety. They're just bobbling towards it. Like, I suppose it's never very glamorous when you avoid relegation.
No.
But I don't really think there's not a huge amount to talk about in this game. I think Northampton Town and Blackpool fans will agree. No offence. I think most of them will agree with us. Northampton Town, like I've said, I think they were 8 points from safety, and I think they got a nosebleed at that point. So they've now gone back down to 6 points from safety. I've always said there'll be 5 points from safety this season, and that's how it'll finish. And that's my prediction of the season coming true, if I'm honest.
Well, it's looking that way, to be fair. So nearly bang on, but you don't get any credit for that, Callum. You're not part of the predictions. I'm afraid, league finishers, but
with Burton not playing this week, I feel like this has got a Blackpool win all over it, if I'm honest.
Well, it would certainly make things a bit tense at the bottom for Northampton. Like you said, sort of, you would imagine that they would be okay, but you're right. Sort of, there's always an added pressure when you come to the back end of the season, especially when it comes to games in hand and things like that. Blackpool themselves actually had a spell of 3 unbeaten before losing to Leyton Orient at the weekend, and Orient 4 unbeaten but only 1 win. So sorry, Northampton have been kind of 4 unbeaten, but only 1 win against Orient. That was I'm not sure who to back this one. I think it's 2 teams, like I said, that have not really got anything to play for. I'm going to go Blackpool. I think 2-0 Blackpool is what I'd say.
It's exactly what I've gone for. I've also put 2-0 Blackpool. I just think Blackpool have got a bit more to play for this season. I don't think they'll. I mean, the psychology of saying, currently they're 10 points. If they're 7 points with 8 games to go, then that looks a bit more realistic for them, I suppose. Obviously, they'll have played a game more, though, than most of the teams around them. So we'll see. Peterborough against Charlton Athletic. For me, we've got Wrexham against Stockport as well. We'll talk about that last. But this, to me, has the potential to be a huge game for the season. Charlton in great form, but Peterborough also in great form. Looking at the form table, it's in the last 6 games, Charlton top, Peterborough 4th. Neither side has lost in the last 6 games, just Charlton with 2 more wins than Peterborough. But Charlton really making a late dash for the automatics.
Yeah, absolutely. They're now only 5 points off the top 2. If they win, they would only, I guess, if they win and results go elsewhere, go in their favour, they're only 2 points off the Wrexham. So, and therefore only 2 points off the automatic spot. So, they certainly are definitely the form side of the division, you would argue. Like you said, on a great run of form, unbeaten in 4 of those victories, with the only draw being against Stockport, with themselves on a good run of form. So plenty to be positive about Charlton. Yeah, you mentioned Peterborough on a good run of form. They've got the home advantage, and at home they seem to have picked up a few good results. Winning against Shrewsbury, the draw against Wycombe, which I think we can consider a good result as well. And then Wrexham drawing away, they drew away to Wrexham. So yeah, certainly two good teams on a good run of form, and I think this is going to be one of the matches of the weekend. I think in
terms of entertainment.
In terms of entertainment, yeah. 2 teams both going at it. 2 teams that both like to attack. Charlton have scored 6 in the last 5. Peterborough 7 in the last 5. And the last 3 matches against each other have not been draws. So there's going to be a winner somewhere. I would have to say Charlton to continue their good run of form and their momentum that they've got. Currently in 4th, as you mentioned, making a very late challenge for the automatic spots. I'm not quite sure that they're going to do it, but they will push right to the end. No doubt about that. And Nathan Jones and his mentality and not going to blue water. I don't know if people have seen that viral video that was on sort of the post-match interview the other day. I think Charlton will make this 3-2.
Yeah, it's one of them that I think. I mean, looking at the goals conceded, we used to mock Peterborough for being what we called bipolar, meaning that they'd score a lot but also concede more.
Yeah.
The brilliant thing, I say the brilliant thing, they're not scoring as much as a Blackpool have in the last 6. They're not scoring as much as Charlton or Birmingham have in the last 6. But importantly for Peterborough, the only side that have conceded less than them is Charlton.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, 2 teams that are in incredible form. I've gone 3-1 to Charlton in this one. I think it will go against the 4. It will go against the stats in this one. I reckon there's goals in this game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, both teams are scoring goals, just not conceding many. So I'll go 3-2. I think. 3-1 to Charlton.
He's trying to convert to my score because you know
I am. There you go. We're too similar. Final game is Wrexham against Stockport County. In terms of league position, this is probably the biggest game. It's 3rd versus 5th. So a huge game at the top of the table.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, only 6 points between the two, and they've lost the same amount of games. It's only Stockport that have drawn more games. Wrexham have more wins, but yeah, absolutely massive one at the top of the table. This one, Stockport. We mentioned Charlton sort of being the form side. Stockport, one of the form sides, just seems to be going under the radar every week. Just ticking along, getting the good results. They managed to get like I guess you could say a smash and grab against Bolton, just winning that one 1-0 last time out. And that will give them huge momentum going forward into this one. Wrexham themselves beat Wycombe 1-0. So sort of both coming into this one off the back of good 1-0 victories, both away from home as well. Wrexham and this one have got the home advantage. So both are on a good run of form. And yeah, set to be tasty, absolutely for sure. It should be a good one, this one.
I think Stockport, for me, are just the team about what if this season. Like, for me, there's so many, like, what ifs. You talk about that 2-0 defeat to Cambridge. That was when Neil Harris and Mark Bonner had just come in. But, that's 3 points they missed out on there. Draw to Northampton, which, Birmingham did. But you talk about that's 2 missed points then. Even then, with just those 5 points, Stockport, they're 1 point behind Wrexham and Wycombe, and for me, it just feels like whenever Stockport are given the opportunity to join that front 3, they've just not taken it. That's not me criticising. They've had an incredible season coming up from League 2. Everyone expected Wrexham to do well. I don't think many people had caught on to Stockport doing quite well, even though I'm not going to say they spent a lot, but they'd spent more than some other teams had. But again, all credit to Stockport. They've done very well this season. I don't think they've got the budget of a Charlton or a Huddersfield or whatnot at all. So, incredible story. It's just for me, they're frustrated. They're frustrating that they've been 4th for most of this season, or 4th or 5th for most of this season. And when given Charlton have come from nowhere to leapfrog them, and they look like the team that could catch them. Where for me, it felt like it should have been Stockport this season.
No, I get that. I think both sides. I guess you're going to give Stockport and Charlton credit for, but ultimately, I guess Charlton got the attention, and maybe Stockport deserved to go up. But actually, I don't know. Charlton were one of the favourites at the start of the season, especially when Nathan Jones took over and the players that they were bringing in. So I guess they've just played the long game, and they've got to the position that they would have wanted to at the start of the season.
It feels like Stockport haven't had many great runs this season. They've just been
that's true.
Fairly consistent. I don't want to say fairly consistently inconsistent. They've been picking up wins and draws a lot of the time. You don't see them lose many back-to-back games at all, I don't think. They might have had a bit of a spell at the start of the season where they're a bit rough. But anyway, prediction time. I've gone 2-1 to Wrexham in this one. I think it's a result that will see Wrexham into the top 2, just with Wycombe not playing this week.
Yeah, I was thinking 2-1, but I don't want to copy here. I'm going to go. Oh, should I be that controversial guy that goes away? I'm going to go Stockport 1-0 Stockport.
You're going to go 1-0 Stockport. That'll get the Wrexham fans on side.
I'm going to go 1-0 Stockport. I just think that they've got the momentum of the late the goal away at Bolton. I could just see it. They've been under the radar all season, and I think this is sort of epitify, I guess, their season and just going under the radar, ticking along with results, and yeah. I think they can do it. I genuinely think they can do it.
What, get automatics or just beat Wrexham?
No. They beat Wrexham. Come on now. Come on. They're not that good. Beat Wrexham, Stockport, yeah.
Interesting.
And then it would make the battle for the top 2 very tight between Wrexham and Wycombe, and then it would just be literally them swapping over with each other.
I do think it'll be a tight end to the season. But that is it for this episode of League One Lowdown. Thank you very much for listening. Please remember to subscribe. So many of you watch our episodes or listen to our episodes but aren't subscribed. So please make sure you do so. It would mean an awful lot to us. Don't miss an episode. But until Seb and Jamie are back with the review show the end of this week or Monday, I'm not sure. When will it be, Seb? Have you decided this week?
It'll come out on Monday, so we record Sunday and it'll be available to listen and watch from Monday onwards.
On your way to work on a Monday morning. What a better way, no better way to start the week. And then me and Sam, I believe, will be back next week. But for now, thank you for listening, watching, however it is. We'll see you very soon.